Hi, so this is going to be the second part of the resupply videos I'm doing. The first one was just like a really quick way to kind of go over what I did leading up to the hike to offset the costs of food. Just a few quick tips on that. This one is going to be where I chose to send my boxes to in towns, which towns I picked, and if I would send a box there again, or if I would choose to resupply in town itself. And I'll also add if there were towns I didn't send boxes to that I wish I had. But for the most part, it's just going to be town by town where I sent my boxes and if I would recommend doing that or not doing that. Like I said in the first video, you can get away with not sending any resupply boxes. Some places are just a lot more expensive to do so. So I had this notebook that I had before the hike, and I basically wrote down addresses of all the places I wanted to resupply, the hours, the phone numbers, just everything. And I mentioned it in the first video, I think, but if that's something that's useful, then I'll make a third video to this that kind of will go over town by town what the addresses are. Because I actually found that I sent these pictures to a lot of my friends that I met along the trail. A lot of people wouldn't have the addresses on hand, and I had them all saved in my phone. So it might be useful to 2018 hikers if I posted them, and I'd have to double check to make sure that they're still correct. But yeah, that might be coming in a third video, I think. But for me, in terms of resupply boxes, I sent my first one to Warner Springs. I would definitely recommend sending one there. The resupply options weren't that much. There was like a community center, or I forgot the name of the place, but it was pretty expensive. The food was really overpriced, and asking people along the trail, that was probably one of their stops where they spent more on food than they would have liked to compared to other towns. So I would definitely send to Warner Springs again. I sent my second box to Big Bear. Didn't need to do that. They have plenty of grocery options in Big Bear. You could do without a box there. And I sent one to Wrightwood. Didn't need to do that. There's a really good grocery store there. I would also say I did send a box to. There's a Trail Angel there that takes boxes that I'm sure you'll figure out about if you're hiking, and that was a really good stop to have a box sent to. There's also REI in Agua Dulce, so that was very helpful. I sent my next one to Tehachapi, and I think that worked out well. There was like a Walgreens or some type of store there, but definitely again to yeah, I would do it again to Tehachapi, I think, just because it was easy. Kennedy Meadows, I sent one there. Definitely send one there. The general store is like the only place to get groceries, and they're all a bit overpriced. The thing to know about sending a box to Kennedy Meadows is that they charge, it said $5 for package pickup when I looked. They charged me $6 per package. So every single package you send to Kennedy Meadows, which you're going to probably send a few because you're going to send all your snow stuff there, they charge you $6. But even with that, it was still probably cheaper for me to send a resupply box there. I also sent one to Lone Pine, which I ended up taking up to Belden with me because I skipped over the Sierra. But in Belden, I would have sent a package had I not already had the Lone Pine one. And Belden, I would also recommend definitely sending a package to, because it was the same type of thing where it was just like a little general store as part of the resort, and you know, the hiker food was a little overpriced, and I would definitely send a box there. I sent one to Old Station. I would definitely send one there again. It really wasn't that many options for, I don't even know where their store was. There really wasn't that many grocery options in Old Station. But actually, come to think of it, I wouldn't send one there because you're like 20 miles from Bernie, and Bernie's got a Safeway. So if you think that you can get to Bernie instead of having to resupply in Old Station, just pack a little extra food and don't resupply in Old Station at all, because that'll probably go a lot better. And Etna, I sent a box to. That was nice for convenience, but they also have a grocery store, so you really don't need to send a box there if you don't want to. Sead Valley I sent a box to, and I would send one there again. There wasn't much options for grocery. There was like a general store again that was overpriced. You've got two options for Sead Valley. You can send your box to the post office or to the RV park. I sent mine to the RV park, but picked it up at the post office because turns out, I was talking to the post office woman, they don't pick up their boxes that frequently, or as frequently as other places. So I had gone to the post office to mail something out, and they happened to have my box there still, just because the guy had never come to pick it up. So I would say send it to the post office. It's really convenient compared to where you'll be in town. And the RV park charges you $5 to pick up a box unless you stay with them. It's free with $10 camping. Or you could just send it to the post office and pick it up for free. I sent a box to Crater Lake. That was a nightmare, but I would do it again because there's also slim resupply options. But I would give it extra time. I would send it a little sooner than you send your other boxes, just because it takes a while to organize stuff and keep it organized. Yeah. Shelter Cove I sent a box to. It's also the type of place where resupply options are kind of thin because it's just like a general store, but Shelter Cove had one of the best hiker boxes I saw. For some reason, every person that went through Shelter Cove left like the best foods, and I ended up with way too much and couldn't get rid of it fast enough, and there was just such a bit of hiker box. But that's hit or miss, I guess. Like, you don't know what next year's is going to be like. But if they didn't have the really good hiker box, I would have sent a box again. But I got there and I kind of like didn't even want my box. I sent one to Big Lake Youth Camp. I would recommend that. That went really well for me. Did it? That's kind of hard to go off of because from Big Lake we had to jump over the fire to a Lolly Lake. So it's kind of hard to base information off of that but I also still we went into Bend from Elk Lake Resort, and I still had plenty of food from Bend when I got to Big Lake. But that's hard to tell because we had to jump from Big Lake to a Lolly because of the fires. Timberline Lodge I sent a box to. I would probably do that again. There was a fee to pick it up. I think it was $5. But compared to what they had, it was definitely nice having a box. I sent one to Trout Lake in Washington. There was a grocery store there, general store. It was both, but again, little options, kind of overpriced. White Pass, I sent one to the Cracker Barrel. It is not an actual Cracker Barrel. We were excited for like 100 miles that we were gonna find this Cracker Barrel restaurant and we could eat, and like we're literally daydreaming about it. It is literally a gas station general store that it's also named the Cracker Barrel. So don't get excited about that because that will hurt. Yeah, it'll hurt. But yeah, I would send one there again. Snoqualmie Pass I sent a box to. I would recommend that again. You could send it to the Chevron station there, or you could send it to the like hotel resort place. I sent mine to the Chevron station and it was fine. Package pickup is free. The only thing about the Chevron station is they have like a walk-in cooler that's kind of designated for hiker boxes, and they just put them in there, and you'll tell them you're there for your box and they'll just say, all right, go in the cooler. And so you kind of pick them up by yourself, and there's no really checking to make sure you've got your box or you've got someone else's box. So I didn't love that because nothing really stops a person from taking someone else's box. And the same thing was kind of the case with Trout Lake. You know, you got your box yourself out of a pile. But it was easy to send it to the Chevron and it was free. And I sent one to Skycomish. That was kind of annoying to pick up, but I guess there were really no other options. We ended up going to Leavenworth, and we could have resupplied in Leavenworth because there was a pretty good grocery store. It might have been a Safeway, but we didn't know at the time that we were going to Leavenworth, so I had sent one to Skycomish. And the thing about the Skycomish post office is that they won't bounce boxes. I don't know why. I tried to bounce one, and you have to claim it or you have to return to sender, because they will not bounce it for you. And there was a few other people that had that problem. But yeah, if you're gonna go down into Leavenworth, it's a bit of a hitch. But if you do that, I wouldn't send a box. But if you don't do that, then I would definitely send one to Skycomish. And Stehekin, I sent one there. It was the last stop before Canada, but I would also recommend maybe sending a little less in that box and going to the bakery, because they had the most amazing bakery stuff that I packed out, and I literally neglected a lot of my food just because I was eating bakery stuff. So hopefully, I mean, I've got places in Sierra that I was gonna send to, but I don't think it's worth going over because a lot of those places were closed at the time I would have gotten there, and I didn't go there. So I can't really give valuable advice on that. But I do think I'll do another video where I kind of give you guys this information that I have of all these addresses and notes if they take UPS or USPS or anything special to know. Unless that's completely worthless, in which case let me know and I won't bother making the video. And I think that's it for this one. I hope that was valuable information. It kind of feels like it was just me reading a list, which it really was. But hopefully if you're torn between sending a box somewhere and not sending a box somewhere, if it was one of those places, you know from someone that's been there if I would send another box there or if I would not send a box. And yeah, I feel like this one was kind of boring, but that's okay. Bye.